Welcome in to another edition of the Triple Coverage Podcast. I'm Lance Nelson, and to my left is Scott Casson. To my right is Benjamin Shoop. Sup, Shoop?
Nothing much. But we were just talking about it before the show, but preparing for maybe a tougher drive tomorrow up to Syracuse with the snow coming, and yeah, hopefully Sunday, if it does snow, it's not a complete whiteout, but yeah, hopefully it's that nice soft snow. So looking forward to the weekend, seeing what's going on there, and yeah, good games yesterday for the most part. Obviously, the Giants and Cowboys game might have been boring, but we got to see the Dolphins lose, and it was a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Black Friday. Is that a thing? I'm saying happy Black Friday. The Chiefs are up to their witchcraft again today, as we saw. But yeah, some good games yesterday, and the Chiefs Raiders game was good today. So hope everybody enjoyed some time with the family. And like Ben said, with the snow, I'm up back in New York in Saratoga, and we got I don't know, a foot of snow yesterday. So definitely feeling like the holidays, but excited to talk about the Bills and their potential AFC East clinching game this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. Ability to clinch the AFC East with the Dolphins' loss yesterday, and it's a little surreal. It's a little exciting to be like the fifth year in a row for the division, and then be having the chance in week 13 to clinch a division. Um, just is a little bit crazy. So I just wanted to get your thoughts. That's really my thoughts. I don't have much more to say on it, but what do you guys think? We'll go right back to you, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else saw this, but the list of quarterbacks to win the AFC East 5 times in a row, it's Tom Brady, never heard of him, Dan Marino, and about to be Josh Allen. So that's quite the list to be on. So it's really exciting, bananas that they have the chance to even do it on December 1st. So obviously not a sure thing they're going to do it on Sunday. The 49ers are a very good team, but that they're going to do it in the near future, it's insane. And I think it speaks partly to how good the Bills are, but maybe also partly to how bad the rest of the division is. But as a crazy list, Brady, Marino, and Josh Allen. That's a good list. When you're on any kind of list with those guys, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Just also looking back at what people were saying in June, July, even August, right? It was that the Bills. This was not the Bills division anymore, even though they weren't unseeded. It was the Dolphins, the Jets were being picked by everybody. A lot of people even had the Bills finishing third in this division, and how quickly things changed to wow, the AFC East is horrible. And yeah, they have been pretty bad this year, but at the end of the day, this is a division that people thought would be closer, and the Bills are running away with it, even with a wider margin than they have in the past 5 years. And that's the part I think that is fun for everybody, especially Bills fans, to be able to say like, hey, you guys were dead wrong, and we were telling you guys all offseason that this team will still win the division. It is still Josh Allen in the Bills division, and the fact that, yeah, like Scott's, the fact that they could do it on December 1st is crazy. I mean, it's absolutely wild. So hopefully they get it done this Sunday, but if not, odds are that they're still going to get it done within the next 2 or 3 weeks, especially because I don't see the Bills losing out and I don't see the Dolphins winning out. So, yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then we got about maybe 2 feet of snow scheduled to drop in the area from 7 a.m. tomorrow to 7 p.m. on Sunday. So it's something to watch out for. From what I understand, though, there's not going to be a ton of snowfall during game time itself, and bands can change and weather's going to change 50 times before we get to Sunday. But um, I'm looking forward to what we might be able to call a snow game. And what are you guys' thoughts? I mean, I was there at the Indianapolis game in 2017. It seems like such a short time ago, but already 7 years ago for that game. And just memorable. Anything you want to say about a snow game, whether it's about conditions and players this year, or just fond memories of a snow game from years past?
Yeah, snow games are always fun. I always say that, a lot of people don't, some people say, oh, snow games are horrible. They're horrible. The only games that are horrible are as if it's rain, in my opinion. Rain's the only time where it's just kind of miserable. So snow for me is always fun. Yeah, that Colts game, even though I lost feeling in my feet by midway through the second quarter, it was still just one of those experiences that you will have forever. But when it comes to snow games, my favorite part always is when the Bills score and you see pretty much the entire stadium just throwing snow straight up in the air, and you see it going crazy, and that really just kind of, when you can sit back and just be like, wow, this kind of embodies Buffalo, and this shows exactly what Buffalo's all about. It's all about football. Even though it's always snowing here and people make jokes about the snow, Buffalo loves it, and they make the most out of it, and they have fun with it. So I'm excited. I hope it's one of those. I hope it's not a complete whiteout. I hope it's one of those light snowfall games during game time, because those are always the best. It kind of even makes the game a little bit calmer in a sense, because of the snow. I don't even know how it does it, but it just, when the snow's coming down lightly, it just almost feels like the game it almost feels like one of those like Hallmark movies where it's just, the snow's coming down light and everything's just perfect, and Josh Allen's scoring and everybody's going crazy. So hopefully we get that this Sunday with the Bills with a big win, and hopefully it's a good snow game, not a whiteout, but we'll see.
Yeah, in the words of Jameis Winston, we're blessed that the good Lord has blessed us to play in some snow. Ben, you were wrong about one thing you said. Football is great in any weather, no matter what, at any time. But yeah, no, I think it'll be fun. Like, as long as, like you said, it isn't a whiteout, the snow isn't crazy during the game, which I don't think it's supposed to be, but I don't pretend to be a weatherman or understand what all of the weather words mean. But yeah, if it snows beforehand, it definitely could change the way the game is played a little bit, especially for a team like the Bills who like to throw the ball. And you would think it would be an advantage for the Bills if so, just, doesn't snow a whole lot in San Francisco. So Bills have a little bit more experience in it, you would think. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. And either way, it's a primetime game against a team that's been in the Super Bowl 2 of the last 5 years. So it's going to be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely excited for the ambiance of the snow globe effect type of thing and that sort of stuff. But I'm hoping that my boots and my orthotics don't fail me on Sunday, because it definitely can get a little uncomfortable for sure. Blake says he's going to the game. Look, I haven't said this yet, and I should have, but we're sponsored by Monster Energy, the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo and Buffalo Belia Sports and More. Go check out Buffalo Belia Sports and More on Facebook, on their Facebook page, and get in on some really cool custom Bills memorabilia there. Monster Energy sponsors our tailgate down at the Big Tree Inn. So shout out to the Big Tree Inn, Water Buffalo Club 716, and come down to the Monster Energy tailgate, grab yourself some Monster Energy drinks, and keep yourself fueled for the entire day. We got a late game, gonna need that energy to get through to kickoff. So yeah, next up on quick thoughts here, potentially getting Matt Milano back, losing Kincaid, Keon Coleman questionable. So what do you guys, just give our quick thoughts a little bit on guys we might have back and guys we might be missing, and just a little bit of, we'll get into the full effect of that when we talk about whether it's offense or defense, but just a little bit on at least Milano and Kincaid here.
Yeah, it would be big if Milano's back in whatever capacity. Not 100% sure he's going to play this Sunday, but if he does, maybe we'll see him on some third downs, some coverage type opportunities, kind of rotating him in there with Dorian Williams, kind of building him back up. But anytime you can get a player back of his magnitude in any capacity for any number of snaps would be huge. They haven't officially said if he's in or he's out yet, but I know they have to add him to the active roster here in the near future. So, if not this week, I'm sure we'll be seeing him back in the next week or two.
Oh.
I think Ben's having some technical difficulties.
All right, I'm going to roll the coverage to cover 2 here. So, would be great to get Milano back. I wonder how that affects any sort of play with, maybe keeping Dorian Williams and both getting Matt Milano and Teron Johnson some breaths at times. So you can either get Matt Milano some rest and play Dorian Williams there, or you can get Teron Johnson some rest and play 3 linebackers in some situations. I'm just excited to see if and when they decide to do those sort of things with the availability of Milano and Williams both at the same time now. So that's going to be exciting to watch. Kincaid being out, I just think it's odd that Allen and Kincaid have been missing a lot, or more so than not, a lot this season, and Knox being in there might be a little bit more comfort for Josh Allen and maybe okay. I don't know that it's a huge blow, but I definitely think Kincaid's a key component to the offense. By no stretch of the imagination am I saying we don't need him. I'm just thinking that in this game, Knox could be still a good piece to step in and be okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. My screen just like went crazy, went black, and then I couldn't hear anything, so I had to kind of re-enter here. But yeah, we're back and we're all good to go. But when it comes to Milano being back, potentially Kincaid out, Keon questionable. I mean, Kincaid, as much as it sucks that he's out, we've seen the offense be able to perform well and be able to still put up points without him. Dawson Knox is I like to think this show is definitely, all three of us are Dawson Knox fans, at least when it comes to him being on the football field. I know Lance is always trying to get the anytime touchdown bet, but for Dawson Knox, he's a guy that can step in and make some plays for you. So when it comes to Kincaid, not too worried about him being out. Keon, same kind of situation where it would be nice to have him, just like it'd be nice to have Kincaid, but at the same time, it's just there's guys that are able to step up and guys that are able to make plays in place of him, but let him get healthy, let him don't rush him back. When it comes to Milano, I mean, that's the number one thing I was saying even before the show. I just hope that if they do play him, he is 100% ready. I hope that it's not he's 90%, he's 85%. Let him sit. I always was saying I kind of hope that they would wait till after Detroit to let him come back. But at the same time, if he's 100%, you gotta you can't really say no to him, right? So that's all I'm hoping, is that if he is back, he is 100%, and they're not really even rushing in the slightest. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Milano, and if he is back, that's huge, especially against a guy like Christian McCaffrey, who is slowly also making his way back. So we'll see.
Yeah, Kincaid being out, I mean, it's not a big deal. Like, obviously, they beat the Chiefs without him. Dawson Knox is more than capable. He can step up. But, yeah, it's not worth rushing him back. They didn't say exactly what his injury is, but based on the mechanism of how he got hurt, looked like maybe a PCL just based on the way he fell. So figure another week or two for Kincaid. No use in rushing him back out there. And Dawson Knox is a capable backup. And then Quentin Morris is very capable to step in, and be that second string tight end. The only way it may matter a bit more in this game, just based on the weather. You would think maybe the Bills will go a little more 2 tight end sets, running the ball much. Kincaid's not the best blocker in the world, but just having both of those guys out there in a game like this would be helpful. But yeah, no, he's definitely going to miss him, but they've shown they can win games without him.
Yeah, for sure. Grable and Carter had their IR windows open. It looks like Grable's still going to be out for this game, but may see Dwayne Carter come back. San Francisco's down. I just pulled up Dave's comment here. Bosa and Trent Williams out, and also the guard there. His name is escaping me, so I apologize. But let me just pull it up here.
It's not Trent Feliciano.
Aaron Brooks. So the guard Aaron Brooks also out. Diamador Lenore out. So some guys out for San Francisco definitely helps the Bills. And if we get Dwayne Carter back at the same time here with the interior offensive line of the Niners, and that whole, I guess, side for the Niners, left side for the Niners is out. I hope the D line can really take advantage of that. That would be an incredible advantage for the Bills. So what do you think? Just a quick thought again on the impact Dwayne Carter might have, Grable opening his window. What do you see from that, if anything?
Yeah, Dwayne Carter was playing really well before he got hurt. So hopefully he can pick up where he left off. He was, playing that game, the 2 games that Oliver missed and he played, he looked amazing, made some big plays in the Texans game. He played well in the Jets game, and then, he got hurt. So getting him back for the stretch run would be huge. But then, you have a decision to make. You brought in Quentin Jefferson, you brought in Jordan Phillips. Like, do you let one of those guys go? Maybe Jalen Virgil gets cut, because you got to make a roster spot somewhere. And then Grable, like, he was a full participant in practice this week too, so it looks like they're just kind of bringing him back along. But yeah, he was looking good, just a rookie, but as the swing tackle, he made the team when a lot of people thought he might not. So it would be good to get him back as well and get his development continuing. And then You mentioned Trent Williams earlier and him being out. In my opinion, he's the best O-lineman in the NFL. He's just a very scary human being. So the fact that none of our guys have to go against him is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more to say on Trent Williams. I think, Scott kind of just nailed it. You guys kind of nailed it there. He's an absolute monster, and he knows how to do his job well when he plays. So him being out would be absolutely massive for a guy, especially like AJ Epinesa and everybody. So, when it comes to them, it's kind of tough. I don't know if I'm frozen right now, or if you guys can still hear me on my screen. I'm frozen.
Your mouth is disconnected from your nose. It's pretty wild.
You look as good as you usually do.
We'll do this here real quick, and that's still like that. All right. Well, I'll finish my thought here, and then I'll get this all fixed. But when it comes to Carter, you guys know I'm a huge fan of Carter. Absolutely love him. Really can't wait for him to be back here. And then when it comes to Grable, like Scott said, it's good that he can kind of get his development going again and just have another guy that's available and healthy that they have confidence in to play if he needs them to play. So I don't really have too much more than what you guys said there. But it's just good signs that people are getting healthier for the Bills. Obviously, we talked about Kincaid and Keon possibly missing the game, but at the end of the day, they are getting healthier week by week. So good sign.
Right on. Shout out to TJ. He's going shirtless for Snowmageddon, or he is going. Yes. So look for the shirtless guy in section 123. That'll be TJ. Give him a high five. Anus Campbell here says, no way Milano close to 100%. Well, I think they have Dorian Williams to play in some rundowns. They don't need to play him 100% of the time either. I think he just comes in and starts to get his legs back. So I think they're going to get him brought along pretty quick, pretty slowly. We're going to work him in and they'll get him back to full health as soon as they can. But I don't think they're going to force him out there, play after play. They're going to get him whatever snaps he might need to continue to work back to full strength. And I'm excited for it. Frankly, I think that, getting guys back, you're already 9-2 and have played so many games without your full complement of a roster and still have the success. To me, that's just more and more exciting to get some of these guys back and be able to hopefully excel now even further than what you've seen. I mean, the Bills have been pretty good overall, and just getting these guys back adds to the whole mix. As a fan, that's pretty exciting to me.
Absolutely. Like, Milano hasn't played in a year and a half, so there's going to be some growing pains. He's going to have to get back in shape. He's going to have to, find a rhythm again. But like, getting him back a little bit earlier than maybe we thought is huge too, because hopefully it makes him 100% for the playoff run when we really need him. We missed him last year, so super excited about that. You ready to jump into some offense while we wait for Ben to do whatever it is Ben does?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that speaking on the offense a little bit, I think Keon Coleman, even if he doesn't go this week, I didn't comment on him much when we talked about it, but this is a perfect time for him to maybe catch a couple breaths here, get a little bit of rest, and make sure he's fully healthy going down the stretch run and into the playoffs. I think that'll be great for the Bills overall to have, again, their full complement of a roster come playoff time.
Yeah, and that's one of the perks of being 9-2 and being able to clinch your division in December 1st. Obviously, you want to get the 1 seed and you want to win all these games, but I think you'd rather, give some guys an extra week. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to rush them back for must-win games yet. So, maybe you don't get the 1 seed, maybe you end up with the 2 or the 3, but you're fully healthy come the playoffs, and I think we'll take that trade-off.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so moving along to the actual game on the field this week. Bills are taking on the Niners on Sunday Night Football. And even though the 49ers maybe not as good this year as they've been in years past, I think they're 5-6 right now, somewhere in the middle of that NFC West debacle of a division where no one knows if any of the teams are good or how bad all the teams really are. But they're still the 49ers, and they still have a lot of dudes on that team, and there's still a lot of guys you have to think about. Their pass defense, although the secondary is banged up, it is ranked 6th in the NFL coming into this game. Obviously, it might snow, might not matter as much as they might be throwing the ball as often. But, Lance, what do you think the Bills have to do to move the ball through the air against this Niners defense?
I think they just stay doing what they have been really. If they can get some short things with Shakir, maybe Samuel. He's always that X factor wild card kind of in the passing game. Never know if he's either going to be targeted, utilized, or called upon. So it's a little bit weird there. But I think the Shakir stuff is really good. And then you have Amari kind of with his sideline and down the field prowess there and just good route running overall. I think it's going to be probably tough to take full advantage of any sort of route running skills from any of our receivers this week. So it's going to need to be more just being in the, having the right momentum and being able to beat a guy one on one maybe. So that'll be something to watch. But I think they're going to need to, get misdirection, get maybe some talk about play action quite a bit here. If want to see if they're going to put the ball in the air, it's probably going to be the conditions to do it off of a play action here.
Yeah, I think you got to, especially in a snow game, you got to take advantage of the opportunities when they're given to you, right? When you get that shot downfield, you can't miss the throw. When you get a wide open catch, you got to catch the ball. And, they've done well in those categories this year. But when it comes to just a game like this against a team that this is really, they need this game. They absolutely need this game. They cannot drop this game or they're in real trouble. Like they're 5-6 right now. They'd go to 5-7 if they lose this game. So it's a big game for the Niners. They're going to give you everything they got. And you got to watch out for the guy in the middle there, Fred Warner, especially in the passing game, because he'll be, he's arguably the best linebacker in the league. I think a lot of people would put him at number 1 there, but he's a game wrecker in both the pass game and the run game. So in the pass game, you got to be able to know where he is at all times, especially when you're looking over the middle. But they got a rookie safety back there, as well as Jair Brown, who I believe this is his first year in that system still. So you got 2 safeties that are still new to this system and you're going to be able to test them. So like I said, if you get that shot downfield, you're going to have to hit it. So I'm excited to see what the passing game looks like against these guys. Lenore is obviously out, so that's pretty big. But at the end of the day, this is still a team that is capable of forcing turnovers and causing havoc for an opposing offense. So just take care of the ball. Watch out for Fred Warner there in the middle, and just get the ball out and safe routes. You don't have to necessarily take a shot 10 times this game or 5 times this game. Just get the ball into your playmakers' hands.
Yeah, and speaking of Fred Warner, Spin brought it up here too, but he's been playing on a broken ankle since like week 3 or 4, which is crazy. So like hats off to him for just being a warrior and still playing at a super high level given the injury. And yeah, Fred Warner's a stud, so you got to know where he is at all times. But another guy that the Bills will know where he is at all times, and that is on the bench because he's out with an injury, is Nick Bosa. He's a top 5 edge rusher in the league, I would say, when he's healthy. So, Lance, how big of a deal is it for the Niners? Kind of like Trent Williams being on offense, but how big of a deal is it for the Niners that, they're a stud on the D-line, Nick Bosa's out?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, our offensive line has already been pretty darn good as it is. But like to not have to worry about someone that would be your main focus, I think that's really something positive for the edge rusher or the edge, the tackles of the Bills offensive line for sure. So I think these guys get a little, not that the guys coming in for them can't play, but I just, it's not Nick Bosa. You have Leonard Floyd, who was a Bill last year. Don't know from practice how much familiarity you'll really have there, but I mean, Robert Beal Jr. or Gross Matos. I don't know that those guys are really going to be able to beat Deion Dawkins or Spencer Brown consistently. So for me, I think that Bosa injury is pretty big. And, Spin says that the Bills should win this easily. I think, they should, but it's tough.
Relax with that.
It's tough to say that because, they still are, like you said, they're still the Niners. It's still Fred Warner on the other side of the ball there. There's some other guys. Tarvarius Ward comes back after a really unfortunate situation with his daughter passing, and rest in peace, and just, condolences to that family. But I think the Bills should at least be able to push some people in the directions they'd like to, and have one less complete focal point in there. With Bosa being out, you don't have to bring all your guys towards him, and you can kind of focus on some other guys and really shore up and make sure that Allen's protected or some run lanes are open.
Yeah. Yeah, like Lance said, you're going to have to control the line of scrimmage now, especially, it's a snow game. You have Bosa out. It makes it a little bit easier in that sense, but at the end of the day, it's not, a given. You still are going to have to show up and perform. So you're going to have to get physical up there. The Bills offensive line is definitely capable of taking over the game. I do think that's the area that you're going to have to really dominate in, especially if you have other guys out like Kincaid, like Coleman. You're going to have to control the run game. You got to get to that second level. And even though getting to that second level is a little bit tougher for against a team like the 49ers to still have success in that second level, because they do have some talented players there. It's just, you can't let their front four control the game, right? You can't let Leonard Floyd, who's going to be, he's going to be fired up against his former team last year. He's going to be fired up again in this game. But yeah, the Bills offensive line, I think it just puts a little bit more pressure on them, but at the end of the day, it makes it easier for them to have Bosa out. So I'm excited to see especially the run game in this game, just due to the snow and due to everything else. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, given some of it injuries, some of it just, not being able to pay everybody, just how different the 49ers defensive line is this year than last year. It's just not as scary as it used to be. And, when Nick Bosa's out, like, I don't even know if you call it a strength anymore. Like, other than Leonard Floyd, like, no one really scares you. Now that I said that, they probably go for like 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss, and we can't move the ball. But on paper, it's definitely not as scary as it used to be. But good transition point. I'm talking about that into the Bills running game. The Niners defense, the Niners rush defense, not quite as good as their passing defense, but still solid. They're 11th in the league. They're, top 11, top third of the league in both, passing and rushing defense. But Ben, how do you think the Bills are going to be able to run the ball if it is a snow game like they say it might be? How important is that? And then how could that, maybe change some things up?
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot more of the extra offensive linemen out there this game. You'll see them really bringing out the heavy sets and just saying, hey, we got 3 guys that we trust to give the ball to, and Ty Johnson, Ray Davis, and James Cook. Let's just ride them until it doesn't work, right? You've seen it in other games before, that they're just going to continue to feed these guys, because they know that at the end of the day, this offensive line can get a good push. This offensive line can help control the game. So I really am very confident when it comes to the running backs this game, especially in the snow. We've seen this team be able to take over in the run game, and even Josh Allen too. You have another guy that in the run game that can help there with Josh Allen. So it just the different things that you'll be able to do with them, it opens up so much for this offense. It opens up, number one, the play action. Like, if you can get these guys going and you can really lean on them, once you get to the third quarter, the fourth quarter, that's when you can start taking your shots downfield and really just making this defense have to cover every inch of this field, right? That's the number one thing you want to make this defense do. You want to stretch them out, make them worry about where you're going to go next, get everybody involved. That everybody eats mentality. I know people haven't really been saying it as much the past few weeks, but this is the perfect game where you can really open it up. You can get Curtis Samuel involved, especially early on too, with play action screens or anything like that. So I'm very confident in this running back group this game, especially like we said with Bosa out. It's just one of those games where they have to dominate, and I think they will.
Yeah, you can hand it to Curtis Samuel too, right? So I mean, it's not only that. So you can utilize him as a fourth guy that takes the ball from Josh Allen, and then really, as stupid as this sounds, right, or as simple. I mean, it's like Captain Obvious here. Breaking tackles. Niners haven't necessarily been the best tackling team this year, and I think that if you can get through some of those tackles and not get tripped up early, and try to break some contact there, the Bills will have some chances at some big runs, and that's really what I'm looking forward to. I think that our scheme's going to allow the guys to have some lanes to run, and then it's just a matter of not getting tripped up by those arms and different things, and being able to break a tackle or two here and make some big plays.
Maybe they need to take a page out of the Jets coaching book and watch a tackling video. Take things back to the basics. So like we do every week, Lance, who's your MVP? Who needs to step up?
I think Greg Rousseau ends up being the MVP. I went backwards. I'm sorry, but I think for me the MVP is going to be Greg Rousseau, causing some havoc across the line, and whoever the interior defensive line, whoever's on that, was it Burford is how you say it, I guess, the backup guard there, Spencer Burford and Jalen Moore, those guys on the left side of the Niners offensive line lining up there, and presumably going to be Rousseau, and then either whoever's interior of that, whether it's Daquan Jones or whomever, really needs to make sure they make a tough time, for finding any sort of running lanes for the Niners and Christian McCaffrey.
Thank you, Lance. Please give us your offensive MVPs when we do defense.
Oh, shoot.
Ben, what do you got?
For who needs to step up, I mean, I'm gonna go with especially that interior offensive line. We've been kind of we just talked about the running backs. We got to talk about the run game. We talked about the snow. As much as it just kind of sounds like we're being repetitive here, that is the key to the game here, is you're going to have to control that area of the game on the offensive side of the football. So it's going to, I think, and you got to get those middle three there with McGovern, with Edwards, with Torrance, get them going early, get them really going downhill, force them to make the 49ers defense uncomfortable. So they're going to be who needs to step up. MVP, I'm going to go with Ray Davis, actually. I know James Cook he'll still get the majority of the carries, but I think Ray Davis will have some big runs this game, some timely runs, and he'll be a guy that will be heavily involved, not as much as Cook, but I think he'll have a great game and be that guy that you look back at and say, wow, he was the difference maker this week.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go my guy who needs to step up. I was also going to go the offensive line. In a game of this weather, that's a given. So offensive line, definitely. But I'm going to go with Dawson Knox. Played well in Kincaid's absence against the Chiefs. In a game like this, if weather is a factor, you got to imagine he's going to get a lot of targets. Just stuff not as far down the field. maybe he steps in and blocks chips, releases, like some safer throws, some stuff across the middle. I think it could be a big game for Dawson Knox, and we're going to need him to step up and have that game. And then MVP, I'll go with the other running back. I'll go James Cook. In years past, maybe he doesn't get as many carries in a game like this that's a bit more physical, but he showed in that Chiefs game and kind of all season long that he can lower his shoulder, he can run physical. I'm knocking on wood as I say this, but he has not been fumbling. It has not been a big issue for him this season. So in a game like this where it's going to be slippery, he's going to get the ball a lot. I'll look for him to be the MVP and have a big day.
Yeah, I'll actually give my offensive guys now instead of giving the defense during the offensive segment. I apologize there for that mishap. But, stepping up, I think, is going to definitely be the offensive line, like you mentioned, Scott. I think you have to take advantage of those guys being out. And then MVP, Khalil Shakir, I think, being that guy for Josh Allen, just being able to be that reliable person and maybe breaking one or two. If I'm taking someone to maybe score 2+ touchdowns in this game, I think I might take Khalil Shakir to do that.
I think it is time that we'll move on now to the defense there. So you're just a little bit ahead there, Lance. No worries, though. But yeah, we'll move on to the defense now. We're going to bring up – first I want to talk about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy obviously missed last week. Expected to play, so it doesn't look like we're going to get two Josh Allens out there, as people were saying last week. Why did Josh Allen play for the 49ers? We won't get two Allens out there that are both number 17, but it looks like Brock Purdy's expected to play. They're a team that they're fourth in passing this year. We've talked about the weather all game. The weird part is about their offense, though, they're always known for their yards after catch. They are bottom 5 in yards after catch this year. However, they're top 10 in expected yards after catch. So when they do actually get their playmakers involved and they're able to get yards after catch, they're effective. But they haven't been able to really do it as consistently this year. In a game with snow, in a game that you're going to be looking to get the ball out fast and let your playmakers make plays, is this a concern to you guys? And how much will the weather play a factor in this type of game? And how much more does kind of tackling become a bigger focal point for this Bills defense? We'll start with you, Scott.
Yeah, tackling in games in the snow when everything's going to be, you think, pretty close to the line of scrimmage is huge, because unless someone breaks one or a screen is blocked really well, probably not going to be a ton of big plays in this game. So you can limit that by just making the first tackle. And teams like the 49ers, like CMC, guys like Debo, Kittle, guys who are such dynamic playmakers, they're really hard to tackle. So you have to get them down when you can. And that's really the only way I think, this offense is going to be able to beat us is if the Bills play sloppy, if they miss tackles, if guys are open down the field. So yeah, try to keep contain. I don't think you're gonna have to really worry a ton about getting beat over the top with this receiving core and the weather and Brock Purdy's arm maybe not being 100%. But you got to make the plays when they're there and just kind of keep everything in front of you, rally to the ball carrier, and get hats on the football, like they say.
Yeah, for sure. Stopping that quick passing game, stopping that, McCaffrey screen game, I guess, is definitely going to be priority number one for this defense. I think they're maybe susceptible to the guys catching it near the line of scrimmage and being able to run for some yards, and they need to make sure that they're not giving up those big plays in this game. Limiting that is going to be a challenge, but I think if they do have Milano back playing some snaps there, that helps with that. Obviously, Teron Johnson helps with that. Some of the times that the Bills have faltered at doing some of those things is got to remember that there were some games where Bernard, Milano, and Teron Johnson weren't on the defense, and of course they had some shortcomings during those times. But overall, I feel like with the guys they have at this point, that's not going to be the case, and I think they can take care of business on that front.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to like you said. You got to gang tackling, right? You got to get everybody involved. Even if one person's got an arm on them, you're going to need 3, 4 sometimes, right? Especially with a guy like George Kittle who can carry some guys sometimes, or CMC who can make guys miss. You're going to have to get everybody involved. Nobody's giving up until they hear that whistle, right? That whistle is the only time that you're stopping. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to look out for even Deebo Samuel too. I know Deebo hasn't had the same year that he's had in the past, and he's kind of caught some slack for that. We were even talking about before the show, is Deebo Samuel still the same Deebo Samuel? At the end of the day, he still has the mindset of Deebo Samuel. He still can have a game like we're used to seeing in years past at any point. So it's going to be a tough thing. You got to get everybody down to the ground, especially even if they do have other guys, right? They have other sleeper guys that can really make plays, or Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings. We've seen him go crazy as well, too. Even Jordan Mason, right? On those plays that you have Christian McCaffrey off the field, it's like, oh, well, Christian McCaffrey's off the field. We don't have to worry about him. Well, Jordan Mason filled in very well for him and is a very capable running back. So across the board, they have guys that can force missed tackles, that can make plays. So it's going to come down to just getting everybody on the same page and everybody really rallying around the ball, just everybody going all at once there. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that it comes down to you got to wrap up and you got to just gang tackle. We already talked a little bit about Trent Williams being out, right? We talked a little bit about it, but how much does that really affect at least the run game? We just talked about the pass game, so I'm going to move to the run game. How much does this affect that run game? They have, like we said, just 2 very talented running backs, Christian McCaffrey, who, when healthy, is arguably the best running back in the game. Jordan Mason, we've talked about, he can step in. So we'll start with you, Lance. What does this mean for the run game?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding, I think, to run to that side of the offensive line. I just think that if Rousseau's over there, especially, that's his specialty, is to stop the run. So I'm not sure that they're going to have a lot of success running towards Greg Rousseau this game. And like I said, the interior of the defensive line has to be stepping up this game and making sure that they're not allowing yardage to be had. Based upon PFF's stats, they've got about almost 400 yards running on the edges, and then a little over 400 yards going up the middle. So those are the 2 areas of attack, directly up the middle and then on the edges. So I think the edges will be fine. I think we've got good edges here that can play the run really well. But up the middle, we got to make sure. I think with Bernard there, though, the D tackles and Bernard can hopefully prevent Mason. And I'm not sure McCaffrey is going to be overly effective running up the gut. But I think these guys just need to play their game and they'll be fine.
Yeah, McCaffrey, obviously it's hard to judge the way their run game looked last week. They didn't have Brock Purdy. They were losing the whole game. They kind of abandoned the run very early out of necessity. But McCaffrey looked a lot better in his second game back. This will be his fourth game back. So getting a bit more healthy, and Christian McCaffrey out there in any capacity is definitely worrisome, just because he's such a good dynamic football player and they get involved in so many ways. And Jordan Mason, they haven't used a ton since McCaffrey's come back, but he looked great when he was the feature back there early in the year. So they do have two running backs that they can use, and in a game where you think they're going to run the ball a lot, I would imagine they rotate them a little bit more, or even have both of them out there on the field at the same time, because they line McCaffrey up all over the field. McCaffrey and Debo are kind of like what I talk about with like Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir. You can line them up all over the field anywhere you want them to. So maybe they have McCaffrey in the slot and he catches some more screen, quick passes, stuff like that, and Mason in the backfield. But yeah, the defensive line is definitely going to have to play well. We mentioned Trent Williams not playing, which is huge for the defensive line, because whenever they need a yard or two or they have a run they got to have, it always goes to the left side. So probably not going to be able to do that this week. But yeah, anything they can do to keep those guys in check, because, if the Niners get the lead on you and they're able to lean on you and run the ball, they can make it a long afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to, especially when it comes to those two running backs, they can take care of the football, right? Unlike some other NFC teams that turn the ball over once a game with their quarterback. But yeah, we know it's a team that if they can get the run game going, they're going to lean on it, like you said there, Scott, and they're going to just give it to their two guys, right? Haven't seen too much of Jordan Mason since McCaffrey comes back, but this is a game where I expect him to be more involved. So yeah, it's huge that Trent Williams is out in this regard, but that to me tells me more that they should lean on the run game more to get that offensive line of theirs going more. So it's going to come down to, can Ed Oliver step up? Can Adrian Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, can those guys step up and be the difference makers? So the run game, it's going to be huge. It's going to be one of those things where they're going to have to, again, and it comes down to wrapping up as well. When you get a chance on these guys, you're going to have to wrap up. So we'll see what happens there when it comes to the run game. Last question before who needs to step up, who is MVP? We just talked about all these guys, right? All these different weapons. Who is the one X factor for this 49ers team that you are saying the Bills need to slow him down? CMC, Debo, Kittle, just constant weapons, right? Constant playmakers. Who's the one guy that the Buffalo Bills, we'll start with you, Scott, need to look at and say, yeah, that's the number one guy that we need to slow down?
Yeah, it's got to be like Christian McCaffrey. Like I was just saying, I know he might not be 100%, but McCaffrey at any percentage is someone you got to think about, just because they can line him up anywhere on the field, get mismatches with him anywhere on the field. So hopefully the Bills can get a lead, like the Packers did last week, and make it so they can't run the ball that much. But whenever Christian McCaffrey's out there, you have to know where he is, and their offense kind of goes as he goes, especially as guys like Ayuk are hurt, out for the season. And then Debo hasn't quite been playing as well. Kittle has been the stud like he always is, but their offense goes as McCaffrey goes. So as they can keep him in check, goes a long way to just keeping that whole team in check.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep McCaffrey in check. I agree, but just to not be redundant, I think you also have to mind Debo. Like Scott was saying before the show, he's still Debo Samuel last we checked. So the different ways that they can get him the ball, even with the cold weather and possibly some snow, I still think that, they can hand it to him. They can, do a lot of different things to get the ball into his hands in space. And the Bills have had the propensity to let that turn into big plays with guys like that. So they need to make sure that they're, like you mentioned, wrapping up, getting the guys to the ground, not allowing yards after contact or even yards after the catch. So, I mean, I think that yards after the contact are most worrisome for me. Don't let them break the tackles, because that's part of their dynamic abilities is breaking the tackles. So once you hit them, make sure you get them on the ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with George Kittle. He's a guy that also feeds off. They feed off of him, right? He brings that energy. So if he can get going, he'll give their offense a little bit more juice there. He'll get everybody fired up. He can break tackles. He can lower his shoulder. He can make you miss. He can do pretty much everything there. So George Kittle's gonna be the guy that I'm gonna say that they need to really focus on, just because he brings the energy. He is really their the lifeblood of their team, right? He is the guy that can get it going any moment. So I'm going to go with Kittle there. I mean, with the top three, no matter what, at the end of the day, you're going to have to slow down probably at least two or three of them out of the 3 of them. So it's going to be a huge test for the Bills defense here. I know that they're 5-6, Niners are 5-6, but at the end of the day, they are better than their record says. So there's a lot of teams that are better than their records, a lot of teams that are worse than their records. The Niners are one of those teams where they can get it going at any moment, right? The Bills were 6-6 at one point last year, and they ended up going on a run. The Niners, who knows? They could do the same exact thing. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we don't want to be the start of that run.
Yeah, don't want to be the start of that run. Don't want to look back and say, well, we were the ones that kind of got the Niners going. But it is time for who needs to step up, who's MVP. Lance, I know you had just said yours, so you just want to say yours again real quick just to remind everybody?
Yeah, it's really just, Greg Rousseau controlling the edge, and then, whoever's lining up interior-wise over that left guard spot, and Spencer Burford, we got to make sure that guy's dominating the backup.
Yeah, and then for me, you mentioned it, but Ed Oliver, like we need him in the middle of the field in a game where they're going to run the ball a lot, on a team that likes to run the ball with Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason. You need Ed Oliver, you need DaQuan Jones to clog up the middle. And then for me, my MVP going to be Terrell Bernard. He's, you can pick him for MVP any week. It's almost kind of like we need to have like the Josh Allen rule where we can't pick Terrell Bernard for MVP just because he's so good. He's the leader on the defense. He's going to have to clean up some plays. He's probably going to be matched up on Kittle a lot, which I don't think is fun for anybody. So yeah, going to be Bernard for me for MVP. I think he has a big day.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Bernard from needs to step up just due to what you said. He's going to probably be matched up on Kittle. Even on screens, he's going to have to be able to read them. It's going to be a huge game for him against just countless guys, McCaffrey, Jordan Mason, Kittle. So he's going to be the guy that needs to step up. MVP, I'm going to go with Teron Johnson. He's going to be a guy that I think will be all over the football field like he is every week. I mean, to me, he is the second best player on this football team besides Josh Allen. He is probably... He's top 3, at least when it comes to importance on this team. He's just a huge difference maker in the pass game and in the run game. So I'm going to go with Teron Johnson as the MVP this week. I think he'll end up making a big play, whether it's a forced fumble or an interception. So I'm going to go with them. But yeah, that does do it for the defense here. You guys got anything else to say about the defense? Just what they kind of need to do and focus on? And I know we kind of covered all the bases here. We got anything before we move on to the triple play?
Just want to say, that it's going to be really nice to see if we can see Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Teron Johnson all on the field and just kind of get a glimpse of what those guys really mean and sort of have that dominating effort, really. I know it's hard to expect too much from Milano first game back, but if he does come back this week and is able to get on the field with those guys, I just want to see some flexing, and just be like, all right, man, this is what we're getting, moving. We're getting what we think we're going to, and that Milano is going to still be an effective part of this defense. That's really the nice thing that I have to say about the defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And just speaking to Milano, no matter how much he plays, whether it be third downs, 5 snaps, 10 snaps, if at all, when he does, just getting him out there, getting his feet wet this early in the season is huge for when it comes down the stretch. And ideally, he goes back to playing every snap like he did before out there with Terrell Bernard, because we've only gotten 4.5 games of Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano, maybe the best linebacker duo in the NFL when healthy. So if they can get that back, even if Milano is 80% of what he used to be, he's still probably a top 10 linebacker in the league. But we did get a question from the audience, from Andrew. Who do we think gets a pick this week? I'm going to go with Rasul Douglas. I think he's probably going to get matched up on Debo a lot, or even Jawan Jennings on, third downs. And Douglas feels like he's been so close like the past few weeks. So this week, I think he finally gets his hands on one.
I'm going to go with a kind of a crazy one. And I already said I think Teron Johnson will make some big plays, but I'm going to actually go with Adrian Epinesa. I think if they do run a screen, he's a guy that can get his hands up there sometimes, and all it takes, we saw it even on yesterday, right? We saw batted passes go right up in the air. You can go grab it yourself. So I'm going to go with kind of a crazy one. I'm going to go with Adrian Epinesa gets an interception.
I'm going to go with Taylor Rapp. I think, coming down, maybe playing some in the box here and there and some like that, he can maybe take away something quick and come away with a pick this week.
We got Milano gets an interception. His spin. That would be crazy. If Milano gets an interception in his first game back, that place might collapse with how loud it will be. But yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, we're going to attempt to do this one more time here and see if we can actually get one pick right here. I don't know if are we 0 for 6 or are we 1
Yeah,
and
since
5?
we made it,
Or-
since
So
we started
we
doing this
decided
formally.
to do this thing at the end of shows and give you guys a 3-leg parlay going into the weekend, and we have been squadouche out there. So bet responsibly. Don't we don't take responsibility for your losses. Bet what you can afford, and take our picks with a grain of salt. But we're gonna forge
We
on
do take
here and
responsibility for your wins, though.
absolutely do. And we're going to get back on the schneid this week. So Ben Shoop picks LA Rams. He's getting out of the college game. And we're going to be doing that ourselves soon enough, taking the Rams -2.5 there. Ben, just a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games for the Rams. They're playing the New Orleans Saints. In New Orleans, it's not an easy place to play. However, it's a game that they absolutely need. They're still in their division. They still can easily win their division. They came off a pretty brutal second half against the Eagles last week. We all saw what Saquon Barkley did to them. But, they're a team that has kind of had a weird year, right? They've had some big wins. They beat the Vikings, barely lost to the Packers. They've lost, other than they go out of their way and they lose to the Bears, or they barely beat the Raiders. So they've kind of had a weird year. But I think when it comes to New Orleans, they've been, again, another team that has had that really good first 2 weeks and kind of have tapered off there a little bit. But I do think the Rams with 2.5, I like that line. I just think that it could be a walk-off win for them, but at the end of the day, they have weapons there and they have guys that can move the football. So I'm going to go with the Rams 2.5 there over the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, then our guy Scott coming in with a little Syracuse orange love here, taking them +11 against Miami. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, so this game's in Syracuse, in the Dome. I think the Cuse is going to be loose. Miami's been kind of playing with fire all year. Obviously, they had the loss to Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago, but all of their games have been close. Miami hasn't looked great the past few weeks. Syracuse, get this win at home, get to 9 wins on the season. First year with Fran Brown. I think they keep it close. I think Miami wins, but I think it is closer than 11.
Yeah, and then I took Texas versus Texas A&M over the 49.5. I think that both offenses are able to put up some points. Obviously, A&M coming off a tough game against Auburn last week didn't show that their defense is fully up to snuff. I know, I believe one of their guys went out with a leg injury, may have came back in that game, but I'm not sure what his status is going to be for this week. So he's, the Texas A&M matchup, I think is going to be a good shootout. I don't think that anyone has to worry about that one going under, but I've been wrong before, as we just noted. So I'm going to take the over this week on Texas A&M over 49.5. So that's my pick of the week. So with that, I think that'll do it for the Triple Coverage podcast this week. We appreciate everyone commenting and listening. Like we said, Monster Energy is the official energy partner of Built in Buffalo. We'll be out there giving out free samples, cans of Monster outside of the Big Tree Inn on the corner of Big Tree and Abbott Road. So stop out and see us. And also Buffalo Belia Sports and More. Go over their Facebook page and check out some great custom Bills memorabilia. Really cool stuff they do over there. The helmet over my shoulder here with custom logos and also visors, stuff like that. It's really neat. Frank does really good work over there. So go check him out at his page. And other than that, you guys got any picks for this week? You guys want to take a crack at the score prediction for this game? Niners at Bills on Sunday Night Football.
I'm gonna go with the lower scoring. I'm gonna go with a good old 24-16 game. I think it will be, just due to the weather, I think it will be a game that you maybe will be a slow start for the offenses, then they might get going a little bit later in the game. But I'm gonna go with 24-16 Bills.
Yeah, that's right around where I was thinking as well. I'll go a little bit different. I'll go 20-17 Bills.
Nice. I'm not going to go all gas, no brakes, and go 33-14 Bills, with the Bills getting some field goals in some tough weather and maybe going for 2 and missing it once. So get that in there. It'll be a lot of fun. So
I was hoping for 2 1-point safeties.
There you go. 33 to 14. Buffalo wins this week. That'll do it for us. We appreciate, again, all the viewers, all the comments. Please go over to our YouTube page, subscribe to that, hit the like button on YouTube, hit the like on X or Facebook, wherever you're at, and give it a repost if you're on X or share if you're on Facebook. And we appreciate everyone's support. With that, go Bills.